Hello everyone, this is Akshay, and in this video we will be seeing how to connect with the Windows machines using Ansible. We all know that in Linux machines SSH is present by default, so Ansible can use uh, SSH to execute commands, run scripts, retrieve information, and manage various aspects of the Linux machines using SSH connections. But the same functionality is not present in Windows machines by default. Although OpenSSH has come recently to the Windows machines, but we can use something known as WinRM to help us in this case. Now, WinRM is a Microsoft Windows feature that allows remote management and administration of the Windows machines over a network. Uh, Starting with Windows Server 2012 and Windows 8, WinRM is installed and enabled by default in the machines. However, the earlier versions of Windows, such as Windows 7 and Windows Server 2008 R2, WinRM is not enabled by default and needs to be manually enabled. However, in this video, what we will be doing is we'll be using one control node which will obviously be installed with Red Hat Ansible, and we will have two managed hosts. First one present with Windows Server 2012 R2 operating system, and the second one installed with Windows Server 2019, which is fairly new. And we will use WinRM to connect our Ansible machine to the Windows machines. So now let's quickly go through the steps which are required to connect to our Windows machines using Ansible. First thing is installation of Ansible on the control node. I have already installed Ansible in my RHEL 8 machine, which I'll be using as control node. And I'll not be showing demonstration of Ansible in these videos because I've previously made a video for that. You can refer my previous videos of installation of Ansible on RHEL 8 platform. So the first task is already done. Second is installation of something which is known as PyWinRM. Basically, it's a Python module which is required by Ansible to connect to the Windows machines, and it basically utilizes the Windows Remote Management Protocol, which we have already discussed. Now, Ansible heavily relies on Python because it provides the underlying framework and scripting language for Ansible's execution. In fact, Ansible requires Python to be installed on the control machine from which the commands are executed. So in RHEL 8 platform, by default, this module is not present in the Python. So we'll have to download this module. And the third task is preparation of inventory file for our Ansible execution, wherein we'll tell the control node that, hey, you have to connect to these two machines using WinRM protocol. Once we are done with all the three steps in our control node, we still have one more step left to go before we can actually start controlling our Windows machines using Ansible, and that is enabling WinRM in the Windows machines. So by default, Windows Remote Management is present in both the machines, but we still need to enable it and do some tweaking so that Ansible can actually connect to these two machines using WinRM. So without wasting much of the time, let us start with the demonstration. So this is my control node, and the IP address of my machine is 192.168.79.135. And I'll quickly show you the Ansible version which is installed on my control node. Okay, so the version installed is Ansible 2.9.27, and the Python version installed on this machine is 3.6.8. So now we'll quickly go to my first managed node, which is Windows Server 2012 R2. I will quickly open up the command prompt and check the IP address. So the IP address of this machine is 192.168.79.132, and this is my Windows Server 2019, the second managed host, and the IP address of this machine is 192.168.79.134. So all the machines are in same subnet and they are reachable from my control node. So I'm in my control node again, and as discussed, the version installed is 2.9.27. Now let's quickly check if pywinrm module is installed or not. So if I check pip list install command, I can see that pywinrm is not there. So we'll try to download the module using pip3 command. Okay, yeah, so I'll have to do sudo. Yeah, so this pywinrm module has been installed. Let's check it again. Okay, so now we are done with the second task. Ansible is now armed by pywinrm module, so it can execute connections to the Windows hosts. Now let's go to my documents directory and create a new directory, Ansible WinDemo. Herein I'll try to create one inventory file. So I've created a inventory file as inventory itself, and I'll put in the IP addresses of both my managed hosts. First IP being 192.168.79.132, and the second IP address is 192.168.79.134. Now, at this point, I'll have to tell Ansible that to connect to both of these Windows hosts, you'll have to use the user name as administrator, uh, the password of both the machines, and I'll have to tell Ansible that instead of using the default SSH connection, you'll have to use pywinrm. So here I am defining username as administrator and password as 1234. Sorry for writing the password openly. So this is the downside of using pywinrm. We'll have to define password somehow. It may be the password of administrator or a separate user itself. Now I'll have to write these strings in front of both the IP addresses. So I have a better way of doing it. I will remove the string from the first IP address and I'll put both the hosts in a group. Let me name it as winhosts, and I'll define the common parameters for the winhosts group. Now the variables which I'll be defining here will be applicable to both the hosts. So the user would be administrator for both the machines. I have kept the same password for both my Windows servers, which is admin at 1234. I'm telling Ansible to use the connection as pywinrm instead of SSH. And this is one more additional string which we'll have to add so that our connection succeeds. Its certification validation is equal to ignore. Yeah, so that's it. Let us check everything once again. Yes, everything looks fine, no spelling mistakes. So I'll quickly save this file. Yeah. So now I'll use one inbuilt Windows module, win_ping, which basically checks the connection to the managed hosts using the credentials which we have supplied. We are using this module on our win hosts. So the first IP address is unreachable. That's correct. Now it's not a normal ping. It's basically checking the connection parameters which we have supplied as well. So this error looks great. It says it's not able to connect on port 5986, which is the WinRM protocols port on Windows machines. And yes, we get the same error in second machine itself. So this error is good. It basically means our win_ping module is working, and the only issue seems to be with the Windows hosts. Now that we have done all the three tasks in our control node. Now it's time to move on to the managed host on our Windows machines, where we'll try to enable WinRM. So first I'll go to my Windows Server 2012 machine and enable the WinRM protocol there. So I'll quickly open up the web browser and I'll search for a PowerShell script which enables Windows remote management in Windows machines. It's a PowerShell script which has been developed by the Ansible team itself, and it can be found on GitHub. So we just have to search for configure remoting for Ansible. So on the first link itself, which is from GitHub, we open the link and we'll have to download this PowerShell script. As you can read, it says that this script checks the current WinRM configuration and makes the necessary changes to allow Ansible to connect. So it'll do the necessary changes required in the machine, and it'll also create the necessary firewall rules. I'll just save this as configure remoting for ansible.ps1 and save it on my desktop. Now the file is there on my desktop. So now I'll quickly open up the PowerShell and I'll run one command, PowerShell.exe -execution policy bypass, and the path of the PowerShell script. And just run it. Okay, so the script has run without any errors. It should give me a little more result, but I think because I've already run it once on my machine, so it's not giving me the complete output. Anyway, let's go to services and check if the WinRM service is running. Yes, the service is in running state. So the script is just doing fine. It has already created the necessary firewall rules. Now let's see if the 5986, which is WinRM port, is open or not. So yes, this port is open and the machine is listening on this port. So the script has worked. Now let's go to our control node again and check if the connection succeeds for this host. Yes, so this worked. We have received a pong for our ping, so this is successful for the first host, and it should again fail for the second host because we are yet to do the necessary WinRM changes in the second host as of now. Okay, so as expected, the result has failed for the second host. So now let's quickly go to Windows Server 2019 and do the required changes in that machine as well. So now I am in my Windows Server 2019 machine and I'll repeat the same steps. First of all, I will download the PowerShell script, that is configure remoting for Ansible. I'll go to the first link, quickly download the PowerShell script and save it. Now this is done, the script is there on my desktop. I'll open the PowerShell console again. And execute my PowerShell script. Okay, so let's wait for the output. Yes, this is the complete output which is expected, and it has generated a self-signed SSL certificate. So now let's go to my control host again and run the win_ping command. So yes, this is successful for both the hosts. So that's it, guys. This is how we connect our Windows machines through Ansible using WinRM protocol. Now the only downside of this entire setup is that we have to give the password in the plain text, right? As you could see on the screen, we had to supply the credentials to the Ansible control node about the managed hosts. Now this is a security vulnerability which can be addressed by using a number of ways, one of them being Ansible Vault, but we have a better solution for that, that is using OpenSSL protocol. So in my next video, I'll be demonstrating how to connect to Windows machines using OpenSSL, and that too without giving any password. That would be through the SSH keys. So just wait for the next video to come. I hope you enjoyed this video. This is fairly very simple. I'll see you in my next video. Thank you very much for watching, and if you liked the video, please like and subscribe it. Thanks for watching again.